We continue now at the top of Daf Tesam and Aleph in Meseches Kiddushin. This is Kiddushin Daf 9a. The Gemara continues its story. There was an individual, a man who was selling chumrei pischaisa. He was selling beads of glass. There was a certain woman that came and she said, "Give me one string." Amar Allah, he said to her, if I give it to you, mikudeshesly, will you be mikudeshes to me? Amar Allah, she said to him, hava mehava, give it. Amar Rav Chama says, Kol hava mahava, anytime someone says give it, lav klumhu, that's nothing, and it does not mean to say that she's accepting a Kiddushin. And the Gemara continues, Hahu gavra davakashasi chamra b'chanusa, there was a man who was drinking wine in a store, Asoy hahi itza, a woman came, Amar Le, she said to him, Havli chad kasa, give me one cup. Amar Lo, he said to her, Iyahivna loch mikudeshesli, if I give it to you, will you be mikudeshes to me? Amar Le, she said to him, Ashkuya yashkiya, and she said, give me the drink. Amar Rav Chama said, Kol ashkuya yashkiya lav klumu, anyone who says ashkuya yashkiya, that's nothing, that's also not a Kiddushin. And the Gemara continues, Hahu gavra dehava kashadi tamri midikla, there was a man who was picking dates from a palm tree. Asoy hahi itasa, a woman came. Amar Le, she said to him, Shadi li tardi, give me two of them. Amar Allah, he said to her, Ishadina loch mikudeshesli, again, if I give them to you, will you be mikudeshes to me? Amar Allah, she said to him, Shadim mishta, she said, give it to me. Amar Rav Zavid, and again Rav Zavid says, Kal shadim mishta lav klumhu. Anytime a woman says shadim mishta, that's nothing. And the Gemara says, they had the following question. Hav ashki v'shadi, what if it's just said once? In other words, in all of these cases, there was a double language. Hava mihava, in all of them, said, give me the drink. What if she doesn't repeat herself? Mahu, what would be the halacha? Is that an acceptance of a Kiddushin? Amar Ravina says, Mikudeshes, that would be a Kiddushin. Rav Sama bar Riksa Amar Taga de Malka, Rav Sama bar Riksa says, by the crown of the king, Eina Mikudeshes, that would not be a good Kiddushin. V'hilchasan, the halacha is, Eina Mikudeshes, it is not a good Kiddushin. And the Gemara continues, V'hilchasan, the halacha is, Shiroi lo tzrichi shuma, if silk is used for Kiddushin, it does not require an appraisal. V'hilchasak Rabbi Eliezer, the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, we'll see Rashi in a moment. V'hilchasak Rava Amar Rav Nachman, and the halacha is like Rava Amar Rav Nachman. And Rashi says, Taga de Malka bekeser hamelech nishba, again took an oath by the crown of the king. V'ilchasak Rabbi Eliezer do Amar hiskachi li b'moneh v'nasan lo dinar. The halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, that if he says to her, be mekudeshes to me with a monah, and then he gives her a dinar out of that monah, harezu mekudeshes v'yashlim, so it's a good Kiddushin, and then he just owes her the rest of the money. That's the halacha like Rabbi Eliezer, and the halacha is k'Rav Amar Rav Nachman. The halacha is like Rav Amar Rav Nachman. D'Amar le'el monah ein kan mashkon ein kan. Rav Amar Rav Nachman said before that if a person tries to give a collateral instead of giving the actual money for the Kiddushin, so the collateral does not create a Kiddushin. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis taught, b'shtar keitzad, how does Kiddushin work with a shtar? Kasav lo al haniyoro al acheres, he writes for him on a piece of paper, on a shard, afa pisha ein bo shava pruta, even though it's not worth a pruta. And what does the document say? It says, bitcha mekudeshes li, your daughter is mekudeshes to me, or bitcha mureses li, your daughter is mureses to me, or bitcha li leintu, your daughter is to me for a wife. Harezu mekudeshes. All of these kind of shtaros work for shtar Kiddushin, and it creates a Kiddushin. Maskef lo Reb Zera bar Mamel, Reb Zera bar Mamel asks, Halo dami haishtara l'shtar zevine. This contract is not similar to a contract by a traditional sale, because Hasam mocher kosev lo, because when you have a sale, it's the seller that writes the document, that writes the contract, and he gives the document to the buyer, and he writes Sadai mechuralach, my field is sold to you. But over here, Baal kosev, the husband is the one that writes bitcha mekudeshesli, that your daughter should be mekudeshes to me, meaning essentially the one who's doing the selling, so to speak, is the father of the wife, or the wife herself is selling herself, so to speak, in Kiddushin. And so the shtar should go, if it's going to be the same as a traditional sale, the shtar should go from the wife to the husband, not from the husband to the wife. It shouldn't say bitcha mekudeshesli. And the Gemara says, Amar Rava says, Hasam mein yana dekra, v'hacham mein yana dekra. Over there they follow the context of the psukim, and over here they follow the context of the psukim. In other words, how you write the shtar is just derived from psukim. Hasam ksiv, over there it says, Umachar me'achuz also, it says he's going to sell from his property. B'mocher toler achmona, so it's dependent upon the mocher, the seller. You see that the document is coming from the seller. But hacha ksiv, but over here it's written ki yikach, it says that he's going to take a wife. B'bal toler achmona, you see that it comes from the side of the husband, and that's why the document is formulated in that fashion. But the Gemara says, Hasam Nami, there also, when it comes to a traditional sale also, Ksiv Sados Bakesef Yiknu, it says that they're going to purchase the fields with money, and it seems like it's coming from the perspective of the buyer in that pasuk. And the Gemara says to that, Kari Be Yaknu, you can read the pasuk Yaknu, we're really talking about from the seller's side. And the Gemara says, my time Akaris Be Yaknu, well, what's the reason you're reading it as Yaknu? Mishum Dechsiv Umachar, because you had another pasuk that said Umachar, that again seems to indicate it's coming from the seller's side. But Hachanami, but here also, Kari Be Ki Yakach, you should read instead of Ki Yikach, you should read Ki Yakach, that it's coming from the wife's side. Dechsiv Es Biti Nosati Lishazeh, because there's another pasuk that says, my daughter I gave to this man. It sounds like it's coming from the wife's side. And so the Gemara says you can't prove from psukim. Elama Rava, rather Rava says hilchas saninu. These are all halachas that are derived from tradition. V'yasmechinu rabbanan akraya, and the rabbanan are just finding psukim to rely them upon, but really it all comes from tradition in terms of how it is formulated. And the Gemara continues by saying, if you want, I could say Hasam Nami over there also, meaning when it comes to a traditional sale, there's another pasuk that indicates that it should come from the side of the seller. Ksiv, it says it's written in the pasuk, Vo'ekach sefer hamikneh, and I took the sefer hamikneh, and so you see he's taking the document. The buyer is taking the document from the seller. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rava Amar Rav Nachman, and Rava says that Rav Nachman says, Kasav lo al haniyaro al acheres, if he writes for him on a piece of paper or on a shard of earthenware, Afal pisha in bo shava pruta, even though it's not worth a pruta, bitcha mekudeshes li, your daughter's mekudeshes to me, bitcha mureses li, your daughter's mureses to me, bitcha li into, your daughter is to me for a wife, bein al yedei avia, bein al yedei atzma, whether it's through her father, meaning the documents given to her father, or whether it's given to her, mekudeshes midaito, the Kiddushin takes place only if it's from the consent, with the consent of her father, v'hu shelo boger, that's talking about a situation where she's not a bogeris, where she has not reached full adulthood, that's where it depends on the consent of her father. Kasav lo al haniyaro al acheres, if he writes it for her on a piece of paper, on a shard of earthenware, afal pishein bo shava pruta, even though it's not worth a pruta, harei mekudeshes li, harei li into, harei mureses li, you're mekudeshes to me, you're to me for a wife, you're mureses li, mekudeshes, that's going to be a kedushin, bein al yedei avia, bein al yedei atzma, whether it's given to her father, whether it's given to her, but midaita, but it has to be with her consent. When do we say it has to be with her consent? V'hu shabager, that's when she is a bogeres, when she has reached full adulthood. So then the kiddushin is done with her consent, not with the consent of her father. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Boy, Rav Shimon ben Lakish. Rav Shimon ben Lakish asks the following question: Shtar Erusin shakasvu shelo l'shma. If you have a shtar of kiddushin that was written not l'shma, wasn't written particularly for the sake of this woman, mahu, what's the halacha? Havayos lietzios makshinan. Do we compare the betrothal to the divorce? Ma, what do we find by the divorce? And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Tes Amud Beis.